Ooh, this game takes me back. The Long Dark helps us to deal with the truly deep fear of what if it was a Canadian winter and I forgot to pay utility bills. I played it way back in 2014 when it was still in early access. It was a fun survival game and I enjoyed myself with it, although briefly. It was original for its time, fun but ruthless, and I died a lot like it was a roguelike title. Each go was better than the last, but then I had a pretty nasty encounter and I begrudgingly uninstalled it. But 9 years later, it's October, we're on the verge of winter, temperatures are low, I think we already had a snowstorm or two in the country, so I decided to reinstall this beauty. And boy am I glad I did. Lots of things have changed. It's no longer in early access like it was before. It's now heavily revamped and polished to the point of being a quality AAA release. It was worth it before, but now, with really refined survival mode, story mode, and challenges, it is really worth its weight in gold. All in all, the developers did a fantastic job. They definitely know what they are doing. This isn't your typical indie studio with crises and crunches. I mean, after all, the game is almost 10 years old, and it couldn't have gone so far without a clear vision of where they wanted to go. Because it is still getting updated.
Updated my journal.
Which is supposed to be cool, but more on that later. At the start of the game, we're greeted by a disclaimer that if we end up in Orwellian dystopia, in Canada, you should not follow the advice that you find in the game to survive in the wilderness. Otherwise, it will lead to your inevitable demise. Which pretty much tells me that someone did try the tricks from this game and died, and so the developers have blood on their hands. Pretty cool, if you ask me. The premise of the game is rather simple. You play as an unfortunate soul that ended up in northern Canada after a mysterious electromagnetic storm that shut down all the power, and people have either fled or died trying. You are the last known survivor of the Great White North, and your task is to survive for as long as possible, fighting wildlife, natural elements, and the urge to check your phone for new tweets. No electricity, no safe house, no help. You survive with what you make, and what you make is the entire essence of this game. Fight the cold, fight the wolves, find shelter. Having said that, the Long Dark is certainly not for everyone. Oh no, far from it. It is slow, tedious, uncaring, and unfair. It bothers explaining only the most fundamental mechanics, but things like standing outside in rain or snow will wet your clothes to the point of freezing, or every animal has its own pattern of migration, all that you will have to learn yourself the hard way. The game has lots of aspects that are made exceptionally well. Original graphics that steers away from boring and gritty realism with pseudo hand-painted style, difficult cold and heat system that will dictate whether you live or die, a realistic hunger and thirst meters that you will have to satiate to stay alive, and rather dynamic day and night rhythm. Everything in this game serves a purpose. Wildlife migrates at certain times, you get colder if you stand out in the open without physical barriers, and a lighting system that is very realistic. As in, you can't see shit a meter away from you at night at certain weather type of realistic. If you decide to venture outside at night, for the love of God, bring a flashlight or a lamp. There's lots of shit going on, and not all of it is evident from the first sight, especially without a light source. But what a sight it is! The graphics are art incarnate. It's as if you're playing in a watercolor painting created by Bob Ross himself. The night sky is so beautifully rendered you lose yourself in the majestic starry map of our galaxy. All you gotta do is look up to enjoy the view. And so I quickly became immersed. The game's mechanics are deceptively simple. The crafting system is not complicated at all, and thank God for that, because you will be using it very often. And after a while, if you're smart, and I know you are, I respect that about you, wildlife becomes predictable. You learn its patterns, its behaviors, its likes and dislikes. But it's not always about the great outdoors. You see, some days you will be stuck inside a small cabin breaking down boxes and chairs to collect extra firewood and cardboard, hoping to find extra cans of dog food along the way. Such is the gameplay in the Long Dark. And yet, I was never bored. If you want to be like me, you need to be a-okay with the slow pace of everything. You will have to walk a lot to find points of interest, and running is an option, one that would inevitably lead to hypothermia and fatigue. Another drawback I found is that it lacks creativity in certain departments. The most obvious one is that you can't build anything. There is no base building function in this, a la Fallout 4. But still, a survival game without base building can be engaging if you learn how to give yourself tasks and objectives to survive. Speaking of giving myself objectives, I think I have some questions to answer. Okay, this is the Q&A section that will be sprinkled throughout the video. Skip to this timecode if you'd like to continue watching the review. I took all of the questions from the suggestion box and will be answering them off script. So here we go. I think in total I got about 50 questions, so I'll try to split them evenly. First question, can you do the chud shaker? You can't see it, but I'm doing it right now. Okay, thank you. Next question. Do you have a kitty? Oh my. Well, first of all, probably most of you know that I have a dog, a small Chihuahua. His name is Tommy, but no cat. I am, however, a godfather to a kitty cat named Lyra. She was staying with us for about a week, and that was a very fun cohabitation because at first they were having none of it because the puppy was protecting his grounds and the kitty cat she thought to be superior towards the puppy. But then they became thick as thieves and they started chasing each other. He chased her, she chased him. You know, they were eating from the same bowl. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed them staying together. I have, I think, phones worth of videos recorded of them doing some crazy fun random shit. Thank you. Next question. Next question is, do you think video games have a practical use in society? Oof. I'm gonna be honest. I thought about this question for a couple of days at least, and I asked this question to a couple of friends of mine. So here's my opinion on this. I think that now cybersport is becoming the zeitgeist of the entire world, right? We have some sheiks investing money in some championships of Dota and Counter-Strike. We have Fortnite, we have Valorant, we have lots of games that are capturing the essence of cybersport gaming, including big bucks, okay? So I think, compared to, for example, the 2000s or the 90s even, I think now video games are becoming more and more relevant to society's way of developing, even. I mean, even my mother now plays games. I mean, yeah, they are 3 in a row type of games, but still, I could not imagine when I was a wee lad that my mother is going to be gaming with me, okay? But speaking about practical uses, I think that there's gonna be inevitable gamification of lots of industries. I mean, it's happening right now, okay? For example, my bank application has lots of gamification things in it. Some functions, some games, some contests, some raffles, stuff like that. Not to mention that some industries, for example, if you live in a warmongering country like I do, some industries even employ the service of gamers in, for example, such positions as drone operators. Let's not forget about that. All in all, I think gaming will not be a fringe hobby anymore. It will become more and more relevant to everyday's life of every person ever. Thank you for the question. That was lovely. Okay, next question is, I think, maybe one of my favorite ones so far. Do you think people who make 8-hour-long video essays should be laughed at? Thank you for the question. Again, I thought about answering this for a couple of days, because my initial thought was yes, they should. Because at first I thought that 8-hour videos can only be regurgitation of the plot, right? There's beat for beat retelling of the story. And that is, I don't know exactly who's the target audience for this. Probably people who are too busy for playing themselves. But then I thought, wait a minute. There are some franchises, for example Castlevania, that can warrant 8-hour long video about speaking of the lore of the game, okay? But usually the problem with 8-hour long video is that they cannot maintain my interest for too long. Which means that there are a lot of stupid unnecessary tangents, a lot of repetition happening, and they are losing the thread of narration. That's what I mean. So it is really a rare sight when I can really say that this 8-hour long video has no tangents, has no repetition, and straight on point. Even though I myself think that the maximum amount of time I'm willing to invest in one sitting is no more than an hour. And I guess that you're not supposed to watch them in one sitting after all. I get that, sure. But it's kind of like reading a book after a small break. You kind of remember what was happening in the previous pages of the book that you read, for example, 2 weeks ago, but you're not kind of sure. Okay, so it's like if you watch this throughout a week or even a month, how can you be sure that you got it all? I mean, the video itself in all entirety. It's not even a joke, but I believe that you really have to be on the spectrum to maintain the attention span for these kinds of videos. Because me, a person with ADHD, I have problem focusing on them for 20 minutes because even when I listen to them for 10 minutes, they inevitably go onto some wild tangent, they go off topic, and there's lots of repetition that is truly unnecessary. Kinda like me answering this question. See what I did there? That's the problem of 8-hour long videos. Money-wise, they are the best kind though, because you can insert a lot of ad breaks in your video. So people who make 8-hour long essays don't make it out of necessity or out of love or out of passion. They make it because it brings big bucks. Thank you for the question. Next up, will you try out Project Wingman? You know, at first, eyes closed, I thought it's gonna be like one of those dating simulators, where you have to select the right dialogue option to sleep with the woman. But sadly, I was mistaken, it's just a flight simulator. And speaking of flight simulators, I was never a fan of those. I never played Ace Combat series, for example. So Project Wingman would probably get a no from me. But thank you for the effort. Next question. Will you try out Finnish Army Simulator? For the people who don't know, and that's pretty much everybody, Finnish Army Simulator is Army Simulator with the comedic touches. Has lots of activities, mini-games, and, as they say, exciting storyline. Now that is more up to my speed. Now that one I would love to try, maybe even make a jokey April 1st kind of review about it. But I really would like to keep it stew for a bit, because I don't really like early access games, so I want the devs to finish it, or finish it? Get it? Thank you for the question, that was a lovely one. Next one. Why the fuck did people shill you on V and VRPG almost a year ago, and why did I click the video link? Also, why aren't you playing Black Souls? Okay, here I go. Well, on V, that was probably me. Shilling, that is. VRPG, don't know, never ventured there. As to why did you click on the video, well, I do sincerely hope it happened because of the funny thumbnail, because I really do put all my life and soul in them. But the main question, why am I not playing Black Souls? Okay, it's on the list, believe me people, but you have to know something about the process of choosing games. I can't all the time work with indie titles. Okay, it will not bring any views to the channel, because I want this channel to grow, obviously, so that is why I do one for me, one for them kind of scenario. For example, I have this really cool game that I really love. It has fantastic soundtrack, amazing story, and wonderful lore, but nobody has ever heard of it. And I'm worried that if I make a review on it, nobody is going to come and watch it. Okay? And it's going to break my heart, like exactly what happened after Lobotomy Corporation was out. I made the video on EDF 5 and nobody watched it. So now I'm more cautious. So I would, for example, make one video that I think would bring views, and then I'll make another video that I think is just an art housey type of bullshit that is interesting only to like 10 people. And that's probably going to be the structure of this channel for a while, before I, come up with something better. Hopefully. Thank you for the question. And the next question is, what's a game or game series you would feel nervous or unable to cover properly? Okay, I have a game and a game series that I am feeling nervous about reviewing. First, let's talk about the game. The game is, you probably know it already. It's Ruina. Library of Ruina. It is somehow more complicated than its predecessor. And at the moment, I have created a script for Ruina about a year ago. It has about 20 pages, and 10 of those pages are dedicated towards combat. And I'm not exactly sure that it's what people want me to review about the game. So every month, I try to return to the script, try to write more fun stuff, and try to add something to it. But no substantial progress has been made so far. But bear in mind, I already have 20 pages, and that's already more than I had for Lobotomy Corporation. Okay, that's for the game. But now, about the game series. Game series I would love to review is Rants. Rants is already a cult classic because of the Sengoku Rants, obviously, but it has more to that, and I would love to show people more stuff about Rants. Problem is, when you review a whole series of games, it includes a mammoth amount of work that you have to put in. You have to research, you have to find the interviews, you have to find all that stuff, and again, problem is, it's in Japanese. And my Japanese is becoming too rusty for that. I don't have a tutor anymore because I don't have any disposable income, and sadly I cannot say that I have N2 level like I had before. Now it's at level N3 at best, if that says something to you. Also, another series that I would love to review is Nier. But that's again another matter because there's lots of mindfuckery going on, and you know, all the endings, all the storylines, all of that has to be reviewed and put in the form of analysis like I did with Enderal. A whole other can of worms I'm not planning to open up anytime soon. Thank you for this wonderful question. Now, next one. Can you voice in my blank? Absolutely I can. I would love to receive voice credit from some other projects. But my only requirement is that it cannot be anything too edgy or offensive to anyone. Because I'm not in the habit of offending any particular person or group of people. I feel there's enough hostility in the world and I don't want to contribute to any of it. But as for voicing, again, I'm game. I'm all for it. I'm ready, man. Just drop me an email. Thank you for the question, man. I hope you'll reach out to me. Next question. Sus, Among Us. Well, obviously, dude. Duh. Next question. What's your favorite server on SS13? First an answer, then a tangent. The answer is I have none. But a tangent is that back in the 2010 when I first discovered this game, I downloaded the Beyond client and I just clicked on some random server of Space Station 13. It wasn't a hard RP, I believe it was something of a mix, something like that. And I was astounded by the level of the depth this game has. If you haven't played Space Station 13, please do fix that mistake right now, because it is quite possibly one of the greatest games ever made. I like playing as bartender or engineer, but bartender is probably my favorite, because I really like talking to other people. I'd like to serve drinks to them, so I do in real life. And yeah, I'm just sitting there smiling, remembering all the stuff that I went through in this game. It's wonderful. Thank you for making me remember it. Next question. ¿Cómo estás, mijito rico? Vasito lindo? Corazón de palta. Estoy muy bien. Estoy respondiendo a todas estas preguntas y tomando café. No se lo digas a nadie, pero estaba pensando en revisar proyectos on Void a continuación. Espero que tú también te encuentres bien, mi cielito lindo. And as they say, gracias for your question. Next question. What do you think of Star Sector? First of all, I have to say it's a great game. It has been reviewed already by multiple people, so I'm not exactly sure what I can bring to the table. But if you're curious about the game, you should definitely give it a try. There is a way of obtaining this game for free, and maybe some people in our Discord will tell you how to do this, but I suggest you trying it before you buy it. The only thing I think is missing from this game is text quests. When I was a teenager, there is a game called Space Rangers 2. Pretty much the same premise as Star Sector, but of course with less intricate economy and less details and less quality of life stuff. But still, Space Rangers 2 was a solid 5 out of 5 game. And probably the greatest achievement of that game, Space Rangers 2 that is lots and lots and lots of text quests that were very interesting, probably more interesting than the main gameplay itself. So if you ask me what to add in Star Sector, text quests would be it. Thank you for the question. Next question. Approximately how many war crimes did you commit in the Yugoslav wars? Oh, I see you're getting serious. We're having fun, but this question takes me off guard. The answer is far too many to count. You see, I'm in the witness protection program and now my persona is a small YouTuber. And if I don't make a monthly video, they will take me back for court-martial. So I'm planning to continue making videos, as you can see. Thank you for the question. Next one. What do you think about what you've accomplished with your YouTube channel? Thank you for the question. Well, I think certainly I never thought that I would go so far with this channel. At first it was a hobby of mine, for sure, because I never had any experience with video editing software, and you can probably tell in my intro video, you know, the voice work was a little awkward, you know, very anemic, and maybe at times it was even hard to listen to. I don't know. But then I decided to take another stab at this, and I made Fear and Hunger video, and then Lobotomy Corporation. And the rest is history, as they say. I'm gonna be honest with you right now. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I want out of this channel. Two things, as a matter of fact. First, I want to create a community of like-minded people who are very friendly to each other. You see, I don't have that many friends to begin with, so I really do cherish the communication that I have with people on my Discord channel. I do try to memorize all their names, their pet peeves, their likes and dislikes and whatnot, just because I care. And I want this community to grow. I want more people to know that there is a friendly place in the internet. So if you still haven't joined the Discord channel, but you're thinking about it, please do so. I'm always there, so we can have a lovely conversation. That's one thing, but there's another. I hope to eventually grow my Patreon to the point of where I don't need to work anymore, so that I can solely dedicate myself to making videos for you. I will tell you more about my predicament in life later on in another question, because there is one similar question. But let's just say that I'm in a tough spot right now. And having, you know, a beefier Patreon would certainly help me to live my life with something more than canned beans. But I'm okay with that. I am, as they say, hungry artist. So to answer your question, what I think I've accomplished with my YouTube channel, well, I proved myself something. I proved that I can learn a new skill and I can make other people happy. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. Thank you for the question. Okay, let's get back to the game review. As I said, the game is slow. It can take you a minute to make a fire, only for you to fail when you're 90% complete if you don't have accelerant. You can walk through the snow for 20 minutes, able to see just a few meters ahead, only to find out you went vastly off course, shortly before you died of exhaustion. Or you can hoard all the canned food in town, only to die of starvation because you didn't find a can opener. This is not a game you play for a quick respite from reality. It takes an hour or so to travel through most locations, and that time doesn't even include actual exploration, which can take you literal days. Okay, let me paint you a picture. You're on the point of starvation, no food left. You've scavenged the entire region for rations, yeah? And you have only one bullet left. Suddenly, you see a deer. Problem is, you don't even have a rifle. All you got is a lowly pistol. Are you going to take a shot regardless? The tension you have at this point is soul-stirring. Because if you fumble your shot, you starve. So you have to make that one shot count. Even though your hands are shaking from the cold and there's little chance you'll make a headshot. But you have to do it. Or another scenario. Imagine you're hiding in the woods late at night. The campfire flickering and crackling, you listening to the harrowing howls of wolves. If they get your scent, you're fucked. But you need only to wait until sunrise to get a chance at escaping. So you sit by the campfire and actively listen to everything that's going on around you, praying to whatever god you believe to deliver you from this evil. Or how about this? You've been wandering through the sewer system of a prison for so long you need to lay down. And when your character wants to sleep, he can't carry as much stuff as before, so you're either forced to move at a snail pace but keep the food, or you have to drop the food to quickly find the bed. But wait a minute, where in the world can you find the bed in these circumstances? You just don't know. It's these moments you will never forget. They stick with you thanks to phenomenal sound and environmental design. The long dark easily creates heart-pounding moments that stay with you for a very long time. Super atmospheric, very Canadian. To reiterate, sound design is truly immersive. Nature sounds are great. You're absolutely alone in this Canadian snowy wasteland, and the sounds transport you into the frozen wilderness as if you're really there. The story mode, at its best, is a good tutorial for the game itself. At worst, it's pretty linear and doesn't live up to what it could be. It's by the numbers, episodic, not very engaging, and not very long. But it does its job introducing you to main gameplay mechanics if you want the game to hold your hand, that is. Because the real meat of the matter is hidden behind sandbox mode, or survival mode as it's called. But should you skip the story mode altogether to immerse yourself into the survival mode? Probably yes. Is it going to hurt? Definitely. You do that at your own risk of doing rage quits after you get mauled by wolves because you were carrying meat in your backpack. Happens more often than I care to admit. See, these small things are what this game is all about. It's an intense chess match between you and nature. You do something, and then it reacts. So yeah, Mother Nature is the prime antagonist of this game. It is difficult to come up with a more fitting enemy. She's alive, she's unpredictable, and she's ruthless. For example, just from standing out in the open, you can add additional minus 15 degrees Celsius to your overall troubles. So you have to look for wind shelter at times of intense wind blow. Keeping these small things in mind is what's going to save your skin. Such is the essence of sandbox mode. And do not be mistaken by the term sandbox to think that it's some unfinished piece of shit mode. Oh no. Even from way back in the early access version, the idea behind sandbox was that your character is going to die. Sort of like Project Zomboid. Your task is to survive for as long as possible. And hell, you may even create a comfortable home with renewable resources and live to see day 500. Some people have done that for sure. But to get there, it will take you dozens, maybe even hundreds of hours of actual gameplay. Gameplay that you will most certainly enjoy. And speaking of time, I think it's high time to answer some more questions. Skip to this time code to continue watching the review, please. Okay, next question. When Library of Ruina? Okay, so the cat's out of the bag. I already told you guys that I have about 20 pages of script. So that much is true. But what's also true is that I don't know how to tie all that shit together yet. And sometimes I feel like it's a skill issue. But to be honest, I'm very afraid. I'm afraid that this video, Ruina, is not going to perform as good as Lobotomy Corporation. That I'm not going to one-up myself with this one. I know that this is coming from a place of anxiety, but you have to understand. When I was making Lobotomy Corporation, I was off my medication. My anxiety and ADHD was at all-time high, and I do not want to repeat that experience. So Library of Ruina is definitely going to be different. That much I can tell. And what's more is that I can tell you right now when you will see it. Right now. I can tell you the release date. It will be released when I get 100,000 subscribers. That's it. That's the milestone I set for myself. This is going to be a motivation for you, just as much as it's going to be a motivation for me. So I hope you're going to meet me halfway. And please subscribe if you haven't done so. That really helps me a lot. Keep me going. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Okay, next question. Who are you and what are you doing in my subscription list? Why, I am the man behind the content, as they say. VladePosting is my online persona. I'm in my 30s and I make videos about video games. That's pretty much all you need to know. And thank you for your subscription. It means a lot. Next question. What do you think of the USSR? I guess if you ask any Slavic person this question, they will have a different answer at all times. So I'll keep this short. I think the USSR is the greatest social experiment have ever happened on Earth, which beat into submission an entire nation of people, making them believe that collectivism is the way to go, and the lack of identity is also something that should be aspired to. We should never repeat the mistakes of the USSR, such as the tyrannic rule of government and labor camps, and people snitching on each other and hating each other and secretly wanting to obtain the possessions of one another, and therefore doing some nasty stuff because they had nothing. Nobody had anything. And that was the USSR. And when the dissolution happened, everyone really had nothing, because the country that was supposed to be buttressing the nation was gone, and they were left to their own devices, the people. And they were not adapted to life at all. Same things happened to my parents. Expropriation of possessions. It was a common thing. So I can't really say anything good about the USSR. I'm sorry if you wanted me to go that way, but I can't. Thank you for the question, though. It was a very interesting walk down the memory lane. Okay, let's go with the next question. What sort of thing do you plan to change your profile picture to? Please don't say anime. Well, you got me, that's right. But in actuality, that's a very good question. I've been thinking about it a lot. I have an artist that makes thumbnails for me. I hope you've been enjoying them so far. And she can do this additional work, for example, stylizing my video channel and making me a profile pic and whatnot. But all I need to figure out is to decide what style I want to see. And that is a problem, you know? I have literally no idea what I want to see my profile picture as. Is it a face? Is it a body? Is it, I don't know, just some letters? Is it something else? Is it just gonna be my photo of my face? Who knows? Why not? As for the style, I really have no idea. Is it going to be realistic? Is it going to be anime? Is it going to be cartoon? Is it going to be something pixelated? Is it going to be, again, some letters? I have no idea. So if you maybe have some suggestions, I would gladly read them. So please post them in the comment section. Thank you. Next question. Would you ever upload your playthrough of playing Fear and Hunger or Termina? Love your video reviews of them. I laughed so hard. Well, first of all, thank you for such outstanding and positive feedback of my videos. I really do appreciate you loving them, because I pour my heart and soul in everything I do. That's true. But to answer your question, okay, playthroughs, wow. I already made one, Fallout 1. And it's by far the worst video in terms of views, unfortunately. I realized that this channel is generally not about, playthroughs and everything, but I thought that maybe spicing things up and adding something new would be good to the channel. Unfortunately, I thought wrong. Because, again, like I said, just a couple of thousands of views for the video and no love at all, unfortunately. So, to answer your question, I would love to do playthroughs. I think I'm good at them. I have some good idea of how to comment each section and how to structure a video like that. But unfortunately, it seems that nobody's watching them. So if I can get some assurance from people, or, some idea of what people want from me and how they want this playthrough to look like, I will gladly make it. For sure, 100%. It's easier to make them than, for example, your ordinary review, because commenting is usually, easier than reviewing things, because you have to come up with all the, purple prose and shit like that. So, by all accounts, I love making them. I hope I will be making them in the future, but I just need to increase my subscription base so that it would actually be reflected in the view count of those videos. Thank you for the question. Okay, next question. I have 3 questions, kind sir. Where are you from? How do you know so many obscure games? And when and where can we hook up, you sexy monster? Okay. Okay. Well, where I'm from, I already gave you a hint, almost a spoiler, by calling my country a warmongering one. But yeah, I do come from a small country called Russia. Yeah. And that actually answers your next question on how do I know so many obscure games, because I feel that this is something of a racial trait of Slavic people, the fact that we, at the time of growing up, we had very weak PCs, and for example, my PC here is cannibalized from all other PCs that I found in the garbage bin. And without powerful computer, all you're left with is playing indie games and some other obscure shit that is not really demanding on your hardware. So that's how I know all this stuff. And as for when and where we can hook up, well, I'm actually gonna give you a serious answer. I am thinking about fleeing the country, and as of today I'm making some plans on making this happen. So I think when I'm out of here, I will be more in the position of, meeting somebody, chatting, sharing a beer or a cocktail or something like that. But for that to happen, I of course need to come up with the plan, figure out where I'm going to go, and of course save enough money. But when that happens, I'll let you know where you can find me. Okay, next question. What's your favorite video game mechanic? Oh, this is an easy one. I like jumping a lot. I don't play games, especially RPGs, that do not have a dedicated jump button. Jumping is my most preferred mean of transportation. I'll take it over fast travel easily. And if you take a look at my Gothic video again, you will notice that I'm almost always jumping there, because it's faster than just simply walking or running. And if you can hit something with your head, well, that's even better. For example, shop signs. So I feel that all games should have dedicated jump button, because jumping is just way too much fun. Thank you for listening to my autistic variety hour. I'll see myself out. Thank you for the question. Okay, next question. Much love from V. I'm glad I checked you out during your shilling days a year ago. Well, thank you. Will you be playing I Divine Cybermancy one day, seeing as it is yet another schizocore game? Though, if you want something a bit different from your channel's current material, what about a classic like EG? Thank you. Okay, got it. Absolutely, I will be playing I. It is a prime candidate for a review on this channel, mark my words. But for some reason, and don't ask me why, I don't know myself, I want to make a review of Deus Ex first. And that answers your question about classics, by the way. Because I do have lots of classics that I love so much, and Gothic was one of them, and I would love to do more reviews such as this one. Maybe a playthrough of Neverwinter Nights, who knows? Or a review of Neverwinter Nights series, also, who knows? Why not? But yeah, I would love to beef up my schizocore playlist, that's for sure. That's why I would like to do a review of Black Souls one day, and I Divine Cybermancy is again. That's a prime material for a schizocore playlist right there. So thank you for steering me into the right direction. I appreciate that, my friend. And thank you for checking me out during the shilling days a year ago. It's a very funny story actually, because I was still picking up wind at that point, because I had only Lobotomy Corporation, Fear and Hunger, and Infra. I had exactly 3 reviews, and I didn't know that I had it in me to make more. So, naturally, I went to the place where I spend most of my time, free time that is, and I asked for feedback. And surprisingly, for some reason unknown to me, of all places in the world, 4chan actually provided me with positive feedback on stuff I did, which is the reason I'm still making these videos. So if you think about it, it is because of that place this channel exists. So I extend my eternal gratitude towards 4chan and people such as you, Anon. Thank you so much for your help. Okay, next question. Ooh, Star Sector again. Interesting. Question is, do you like Lud or hate him? I'm gonna go with hate him, because just Ludic Path is a terroristic organization and I do not condone any terrorist activity ever. Especially the ones that is preventing technologies from being developed. Thank you for the question. Next question. Are you a Vlade who is posting, or are you someone who posts about Vlade? Well, isn't that the question of the day? This is a miracle of English grammar, wouldn't you say? But to break it down for you, I'll put it like this. Basically, it's a noun. That means a post that is made by Vlade, and it is equated to a shitpost. So shitpost, Vlade post, shitpost, Vlade post. So VladePosting is a process of doing such kind of activity. It is a shitpost in a video form dedicated to video games, is what it is. Thank you for busting this myth for all of us. Next question. Question. Is YouTube your main focus, or just a hobby maintained by your Patreon? And lastly, have you played Streets of Rogue? I'm going to answer these questions in reverse, if you don't mind. First of all, yes, I have. I have played Streets of Rogue. I have about 25 hours in that game. My favorite characters are Hacker, Gorilla, and Shapeshifter. The review is coming, by the way. So the next question was, is it a hobby maintained by my Patreon? Dude, my Patreon is 35 bucks. Even if I lived in Bangladesh, it would be way too difficult for me to sustain myself on that kind of money. so it's not maintained by Patreon at all. But it is incidentally tied with the next question. Is YouTube my main focus? And I'm gonna say yes. I made the count, and I've calculated that on average I spent about 20 to 45 hours a week on YouTube related stuff. That includes writing a script, playing video game, recording the video footage, video editing, all of that. And here's why it's my main focus. And for that we need to enter the dark timeline. Before the war happened, I was a fairly successful person. I worked as a freelance simultaneous interpreter and my life was good. I would position myself into higher middle income class. So basically I could do whatever the fuck I wanted. But that all happened because for the last 10 years I've been meticulously building my empire, my company, my pool of clients. It took a lot of time to get there where I was. But then, as I said, something horrible happened. And I lost all my clients because, see, they were international and they left the Russian market. So 2 years ago, I was left with nothing. I was trying to do anything to keep myself afloat. So I started doing some odd jobs like tutoring kids or working at a delivery or doing some written translations, anything really. I learned how to survive when you eat only once a day. And amidst all of this crisis unfolding in front of my eyes, the only constant that was in my life was making videos. This was something that kept depression at bay. And I got so intimately involved in making videos that it became my passion. So I can't overstate the significance of my channel, of my videos. But to answer your question, yes, YouTube is my main focus, and I hope that sometime in the future the Patreon will reflect it so. Because God knows I'm tired of eating pasta. But that shouldn't concern you guys. That's just my personal anecdote. Thank you for such an incredible question. Let's see what's the next one. Question: what is your favorite game with fun mechanics? Oh man, it's a toss-up between EDF5 and RimWorld, for sure. I'm not gonna go into details, but you can do absolutely bonkers shit in both of those games. If you have some spare time and some money, you should try both of those games, for that matter. They are really fun. Okay, thank you for the question. Next one. How long does it take for you to write a script for one video on average? Since you said on average, then I'm not going to include Enderal or Labarmi Corporation, which took me about a year to write those. On average, it takes me about 2 weeks to write a script. And here's how I do it. First, I just open a text document and write everything I can about the game. This is before even I played it. Then I start playing the game and I have this small notepad right by my keyboard where I try to write all the stuff that is noteworthy. Then, after I'm done with the game, I start structuring the script. And every script I've written so far has the following chapters: introduction, synopsis, gameplay, audio and music, graphics, complaints, and the end. I try to make them even, well, with the exception of music. You can never say a lot about the music if the game is not ultra kill or something. Then I proceed to even out the chapters of the script. When I see that they are more or less even now, then I can proceed to making a video. So that's pretty much the whole process behind the videos of VladePosting. Thank you for the question. Next question. I was curious about what your all-around favorite game is and why. If you haven't reviewed it yet, will you eventually do so? Okay, that's an awesome question. Thank you very much. I guess you could say that Enderal is my favorite game. Labarmi Corporation is definitely close in the ranking. That's really close. In my top 5 for sure. By the way, why don't I just tell you my top 5, just to be clear. We've got RimWorld, we've got Heroes of Might and Magic 3, we've got Gothic 2, we've got Vampires the Masquerade Bloodlines, and of course, Enderal. Shit, I forgot about Labarmi Corporation. Well, okay, leave it out. So all games from top 5 are to be reviewed. Period. When? Well, that's another matter. Thank you for your question and very lovely comment. I really enjoyed reading it. Okay, let's get back to the review. Sandbox isn't about escaping or taming the wilderness. There is just no taming Mama Nature. There is only survival and trying to build a place of safety in the ocean of snow and carnivores who are out for your blood. There are multiple difficulties to choose from, including one where the wildlife won't attack you. You should probably start playing with this one until you feel that you're no longer afraid of wolves. There's one where the wildlife attacks you, but it's not your biggest threat when compared to the environment. There's also one when you're trying to survive with meager resources and the nature is even more cruel, and one where everything is incredibly balls to the wall difficult. Oh, and there's also a custom mode that lets you choose what aspects you want to play with. Total freedom of choice. That's great. But what I really dislike is the developer's ever-changing financial model. Let me explain. Back when you bought this game in early access, you were given both the story mode and the sandbox mode. Now when you buy the game, it's only the survival mode. You're left hanging without the story mode, which is supposed to be the introductory part of the game. So 20 bucks before for both story and survival, and 20 bucks extra now for just episodic story on top of $20 you paid for survival mode. Episodic. Huh. Oh wait, you don't know, do you? I totally forgot to tell you. Guys, after 10 years of early access, leaving early access, publishing DLC, publishing soundtrack and whatnot, the game, at the point of year 2023, does not, in fact, have an ending. Last episode, number 5, still isn't out. 10 years after the game is out. And mind you, the story was the main goal when the devs did a crowdfunding campaign for this game. But again, all of this would have been worth it if the story mode was good, right? Well... Here's the twist, everyone. The plot and its associated gameplay are agonizingly horrible. You have an interesting premise of harsh winter and collapse of humanity in a remote location, and then they add a lot of horrible cliches, slow and unskippable cutscenes, fetch quests, and some super trite line delivery. I'm not even going to show it to you because how horrible it is. Even though episode 1 and 2 were kind of okay, and emphasis on kinda, episode 3 is where the game does a nosedive in quality of writing and dialogue delivery. But the worst part is, regardless of the roadmap and promises, the developer went ahead and made another DLC before finishing the main story episodes. I cannot name a single instance where a developer published a DLC before wrapping up the main story of their game. Imagine if Citadel DLC was published before the ending of Mass Effect 3. Although wait, that would actually be cool. But you know what I mean. My final advice? Just skip the story mode altogether and just go with survival mode. It's good enough alone. You don't need to play the story where the plot is telegraphed way over in advance. Because you already know the ending. You knew the ending long before you finish it. Even though you can't finish it at the moment. Trust me, you don't need it. Leave well enough alone. The developers decided to sell out and went from a product of love to selling every piece of a game as a standalone experience to crank up the sales. Shame on them. As of the year of our Lord 2023, this is a final released game. Not counting episode 5, hehe. But it was already worth its money when it was still barely out of early access. And the fact that it's still evolving is incredible and worth supporting, regardless of the financial model. If you enjoy survival games, there is literally no reason not to buy this game. And managing your caloric intake, exhaustion, encumbrance, hydration, warmth, equipment durability, and scent while keeping an eye on the weather, points of interest, and the wildlife in order to survive the brutal snowscape is simply exhilarating. You can't find it anywhere else, that's for sure. Or instead of brutal survival, you can just jump to peaceful mode and enjoy the loot extravaganza while you sightsee, explore, find awesome items, and watch the wildlife, all while chugging on soda and munching on protein bars. There is no wrong way to play this game, and on the off chance you get bored, then stop by the Steam community pages or the Hinterlands website and check out the various community challenges that people come up with. They're pretty fun and creative, is all I'm saying. I should mention that the community is also extremely friendly and helpful. Friendly to the point of me thinking that I'm playing with Jehovah's Witnesses that are dying to indoctrinate me. But no, these are just alright people who are willing to help you find the challenge, show you the ropes, or teach you how to circumvent a nasty bug. I mean, the community is so great that you can just email Hinterlands and ask them to unstuck you or help you in some other way, and they will answer. That's what gaming should be all about in my book. But enough about that. The game tells us about the conflict of man versus nature. And this may sound weird, but your biggest obstacle is yourself. Often, you're faced with tough choices, none of which are appealing. Wolves are assholes too, but even they are not the real nemesis here. The wildlife is not really out to get you. It is simply there. Almost always you can avoid a direct confrontation if you tread carefully, that is. So no, in the end, it is the cold that will come for you. The incessant, unforgiving cold, constantly chipping away at you. I played other survival crafting games, like possibly many of you. But this one's different. Here, you're not fighting zombies, raiding or building bases, farming or collecting loot to fight legendary tier equipment. Nope. It doesn't feel cheap that way. There are no monsters here, not exactly, yet you must always be on your guard. Because in the long dark, you're always one mistake from game over. Thanks for watching. And on this note, we're done with reviewing the long dark. Up ahead is the last section of questions and answers, so stay if you like, and I won't hold it against you if you leave. Have a good day, friend. Okay, the first question of the final bunch. Okay, you're forced to live as an NPC in 3 different properties for a year each, at which point you can become a player character in any of your selected world and freely move between our reality and them. What are your choices? Oh my god, I feel like a kid in a candy shop. I'll probably go with being a bystander in Morrowind. The race is Imperial because I like persuasion. I don't need the property in Morrowind. You know, there are a lot of bystanders that are just walking outside. Next up is nightclub goer in Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I know we'll get tinnitus, but still, nightclub is one of the safest places in the game. As for the clan, oh boy, let's go with Tremere. Blood Wizards are cool. And finally, I would like to be a tavern patron in Planescape Torment. Because that will give me an unlimited amount of worlds I could travel to. Awesome question, thank you. Next question. You are given access to your character sheet in real life with the standard D&D stats. You get the ability to up your stats by 12 points total and can change them in one of the following ways. Raise 4 stats by 3 points each, a small boost to each category. Raise 2 stats by 6 points each, a significant amount to 2. Or 1 stat increased by 12 points, a superhuman amount to just one thing. Well, first of all, I don't really want to scan myself for in real life character sheet, because that's probably gonna be in the pits. But since you asked, I'll tell you. If it wasn't a D&D and, for example, special from Fallout, then I would totally dump 12 points in luck category. But since this is D&D we're talking about, I would probably again use superhuman amount of stat boost to charisma. Because, you know, I'm not exactly an MMA fighter, so I don't really have the need for strength or dexterity or constitution increase. Intelligence and wisdom though, yeah, but so what? There's probably always gonna be some lucky son of a bitch who is going to one-up me. So increase to intelligence and wisdom are limited in their opportunity up to a point. But charisma is a different beast altogether. You see, you can use charisma to bullshit your way out of pretty much any situation ever. That's why I really enjoy to roll with charisma builds in video games actually, because I really like to break the game early and easily because of just my silver tongue. You can pass any job interview at any company whatsoever, so that's also a plus. You'll get access to all limited resources of the world because of your high speechcraft. So what's not to like? I mean, it's not going to cost you anything. I mean, it costs you nothing, absolutely nothing. You're just running your mouth and that's it. I think this is the perfect build for me, to be honest. Thank you for the question. Okay, next one. Favorite inclement weather? Oh boy, that's an easy one. Any weather that demands me to wear a sweater is alright in my book. I like wearing sweaters because it feels like you are getting hugged all the time. Next question. Favorite bad movie? Okay, this is even easier. Okay, hear me out. Turkish Star Wars. Just Google it. Just do it right now. Just go watch it and you're gonna have the time of your life. Next question. Eventual YouTube sponsorship offer you're least excited to take? Huh. I guess anything that's related to beard grooming, because I can't grow a beard. I would feel so humiliated by the product, I will just be so desperate in my sales pitch. Because I wouldn't know what to do with it. So that's that. Next question. When is the fucking Silksong release date? I know you have it. I do have it actually. You're gonna hear it first on this channel, right now, right here. The release date coincides with the day I hit 100,000 subscribers. There you go. As to what's the actual date for Silksong, fuck knows. But it's coming, I hope. Next question. What circle of hell are you going to end up in? Oh, I got an actual story for this question. Just hear me out. Okay, in my university years there was a guy that studied in the same group as I did. He was a real bona fide pugilist. For real. And wouldn't you know it, he was constantly talking about him ending up in the violence, so the 7th circle of hell, and he was pretty much proud of it. He really did want to end up in hell because there's gonna be an endless fighting involved. So imagine that, being a pugnacious son of a bitch who actually wishes to end up in hell, of all places. So that's fine. As for me, I'm gonna be one floor above the violence circle of hell. Number 6, heresy, which stands for rejection of religious and or political quote-unquote norms. I've always been a non-conformist in my life, so I think, yeah, rejection of political norms and other norms, especially in the current political climate, suits me well. Thank you for this wonderful question and making me remember that guy who existed, who wanted to go to hell. By the way, I just realized that you're damning me to hell, because you're asking what circle of hell I'm going to end up in. Thank you for the vote of confidence of me ending up there. Really enjoyed the question, though. Last question. Favorite or least favorite architectural styles? I'm not going to be very original with my answer, but here it is. I think that, like many of us, I got influenced by BioShock a lot, with its Art Deco architectural style. It was a majestic sight. And wouldn't you know it, my favorite cocktail bars, which I frequented when I had money, way back when, also followed Art Deco style. And I think it's amazing style. It's very functional, it's very smooth, it's very pleasing to the eye, so it's awesome on all accounts. Least favorite style, though, is going to be Bauhaus. You know, very clean, simple, sterile lines, useful shapes everywhere, no decoration, only primary colors exist, and very rational use of modern materials. It looks very industrial, which I like, but it's also, as I said, very sterile. I get that it's trying to eschew ornamentation to focus on simple, rational, and functional design, but I just don't like how it looks. But I do like how you look, dear viewer. And it looks like we're all done with the questions. I really enjoyed my time answering all the questions that you asked me. And I do hope that this is not going to be the last Q&A that I'm going to do. Please do let me know what you think about it, how you liked or disliked my actual voice off script and stuff like that. I tried to answer all the questions to the best of my knowledge. And I do hope that you enjoyed listening to me once again. See you guys soon in the next video then. Have a good one.